Hey everyone, I actually had a different video scheduled for this week, but Articulate released the ability to create and upload custom code blocks to Rise, and I just had to create a video and walk you through how to use this. So you'll see the video that I had planned for this week, next week, but today I wanted to really dive in and show you what this code block is. I saw a version of this when I was at Articulate a couple weeks ago, and I wanted it right away, and they have now released it as a beta version for everybody where you can go in and start playing around with this, and you can actually vibe code various things and put them into Rise. Now, Rise is great. Rise is an easy tool to be able to get up and started with it, and that's usually what I recommend if somebody is just getting started with creating e-learning content. Rise is a whole lot easier to use than Storyline. But what's always kept me coming back to Storyline is the fact that Storyline allows you to create variables and conditions, and it allows you to create custom code. So that's what's always kind of kept me with Storyline in a lot of ways. I use Rise for its purposes and when I need it, but for really customization, I've always come back to Storyline. But this kind of changes things because this code block allows me to create really anything and put it inside of Rise. That means I can create things that will, when you click on a button, it can have some logic in it, or I could have a complete game inside of a block as well. So you can vibe code things and then place them inside of Rise. So I'm going to walk you through all of the different possibilities, and this has me second guessing Rise and as far as how much that I'd want to use it for various projects as well. So I couldn't wait to record this and show you and walk you through everything that you can do with this code block. There are two different versions of the code block. One just allows you to paste in some HTML, and one allows you to upload files, like additional files. To really understand the differences between those two, HTML, any web page actually is made up of HTML, which is the structure. It's made up of CSS content, which is how it's laid out, how it's designed. And so that is more of the style. And then it's made up of JavaScript. JavaScript is the behavior, how things interact with other things, what happens when it loads, what happens when it unloads, what happens when you click on a button. Those are different things that JavaScript controls. So when we're uploading or creating an HTML file, we can actually take all three of those components and put them into one HTML file, or you can separate them out. The reason why you'd want to separate them out is to be able to control them and to structure them a little bit more. So that's important to know, because if you want to have these files structured separately, then you would want to use one code block method compared to if you want to have everything all vibe coded inside of one HTML file, great, you would use the other. So I wanted to explain that a little bit. But let's go ahead and dive in, and let's start creating some vibe code experiences that we could just copy and paste right into Storyline or upload. Now I'm going to use two different ways or two different tools to be able to do that, and I'll walk through some other tools that you can also do as well. The first tool is just using straight up ChatGPT. So we're going to go into ChatGPT, we're going to vibe code some games, and then we're going to paste those inside of Rise. So I'm going to show you first of all just how to get to this file here. So let's go into one of my courses that I built, and this is how to create with AI inside of Rise. You can check out that video here. But let's go ahead and add a block somewhere that will allow us to copy and paste in the code. So I'm going to go into any one of these pages, really, it doesn't matter at this point, and I'll scroll down to, okay, let's say I wanted between this accordion and this text right here, let's go ahead and add a code block. So I talked about the custom block. And the custom block is a little bit different. You can check that out as well. But the custom block is just laying out content, which in the future will allow you to create interactions and stuff like that. I also see them just allowing you to create responsiveness in there, but that's still in beta as well. What we're wanting to focus on right now for this video is the code block. There are two different types of code blocks. There is an upload a zipped file, which allows you to have several different files inside of a folder and zip it up and then upload it here. Or there is just an add code experience that if you click on it will just allow you to copy and paste in your HTML CSS, and JavaScript files. So if I click on Add Code here, it then brings up a code editor here. So all I have to do is copy and paste in my code. Now, like I mentioned, it does handle CSS, it does handle JavaScript, but it's contained all inside of one file, which is great with ChatGPT because if you don't specifically tell ChatGPT to create several files, it will create everything inside of one file. So let's go ahead and build something. I'm going to build something just as a basic layout first. This is going to have two images on the side, which in the custom block didn't allow us to do and didn't allow us to respond. And so we're going to build two images on the side and some text below it and some buttons below it as well. And then we're going to have it respond. Now, to be able to do that, I usually use what's called Bootstrap. Bootstrap allows you to create a grid, and it allows you to adapt things, and it automatically adapts things based on size as well. I have whole courses on Pluralsight that really dive into Bootstrap if you wanted to talk about that. But just to get an idea, I'm going to go ahead and just type in getbootstrap.com, and we're going to go into the docs here, and then we're going to come over to the left-hand side, and we're going to go down to the grid system here. So the grid system is made up of columns and rows. And so we can stack things, and then we can adjust the columns and the sizes of the columns and adjust the rows and how they stack and basically have it be responsive, which with the custom block does not do that. It just shrinks it down. And similar to a storyline, it just shrinks it down. So I'm going to specifically, you don't have to have this code memorized, but I'm going to specifically tell ChatGPT to create something inside of Bootstrap and then basically have images and have text and stuff below it. So let's go into ChatGPT and let's go ahead and describe that. Create a custom HTML page that uses Bootstrap for its layouts. Have 6 columns. Now the columns are important to know if you're wanting to do something like this because it's really made up of 12 columns. And if I say 6 columns, that means I want half the screen to have this. And if I say 6 columns on the other side, that's half as well. But then I can just say, okay, well, once the screen gets really small, then adapt it so it's now taking a full row essentially. All right, so have 6 column with an image from Pexels. And I'm basically just grabbing an image from Pexels and just using a sample image for now. And text below it and button below that will alert hello. And that's one thing that's always drove me nuts about Rise is the buttons are great, but you can't add custom code to the buttons. And you can also not even position the buttons in certain ways. And so this is where one of the reasons why I get excited about that. In the other 6 columns, let's have text, then a button, then an accordion. Just to kind of show you how you can actually take a lot of these components from Bootstrap and place them together. So let's go ahead and go into Get Bootstrap. I'm going to show you this real quick. Over on the left-hand side, there are different components. We have alerts, we have badges, we have list groups, we have cards, we have carousels. Those are the types of things, if you get familiar with, you can go ahead and vibe code and say, hey, create an accordion or create a carousel and have these in each side in each of the carousels and stuff. So it's important to still become familiar with the different types of components when you're vibe coding that you can use to create these types of experiences. Use all lorem ipsum text for now. Keep all CSS and JavaScript inside of one HTML. Okay, so we have a prompt. It's not the greatest prompt at this point. It's essentially just a prompt enough to be able to create some vibe code that we can copy and paste into Rise so we can play around with this. Now, I did not tell it to be responsive at this point. Sometimes it will just automatically think through that and it will create it as responsive. We'll test that out. If it doesn't quite work inside of Rise, we'll come back into here and we will adjust that so it does respond at various sizes. Let's scroll down. It's always good to scroll down and just to make sure that everything is done. You can see right here that it's attaching the Bootstrap. It's attaching the script that will alert hello. And we also have our CSS. This is basically the style that's up here. So all I have to do is hit copy and then come into Rise and then just paste the code right inside of Rise. boom, right away, without even closing this panel, this content has popped up. I'm a nerd. I don't try to hide that at all. I mean, you can tell by the background, but I get so excited about customization, being able to create custom content, going beyond what's out of the box inside of tools and pushing the tools to the limit. So using this inside of Rise has made Rise a whole lot more viable, a whole lot more basically customizable as well. So I get really excited about this. So let's go ahead and close this panel. So you can see right here, it decided to create a card, and I could tell because it's all wrapped up inside of one. And I guess that's fine because a card really is an image, text, and a button as well. And you can see that it's created an accordion. So I can go ahead and click on this and expand that out in just a 6-column view. The accordion that's right above this is basically just, you don't have a lot of control over the visuals. Here, you do have control over the visuals. So I could actually go into the accordion and say, make the accordion a blue style. Let's just see what it does with that. So you can start to specify, make it whiter, change the buttons from arrows to pluses instead. So you can go ahead and describe and get very specific with some of these prompts. So you can see that's added a lot more CSS for me. Let's just make sure that it's all finished generating. Great. Now, sometimes I can actually go in and preview this, but it's not giving me that option here. I'm just going to come back into here and I'm going to just delete everything and then paste everything. Now you can see with just one prompt, we now have a blue accordion. So I can change it and say, well, I don't want that color blue. I want a different color blue. And I want that color when it hovers, and I want this, like I want the arrow to be white. Those are things that I can start going back and forth with my prompt. While you don't have to use any type of code, it is still good to specify and know the components so you can go ahead and say, I want this white, I want this to be this color. And it doesn't, you still have to go back and forth a lot of times when you're vibe coding. It's not just going to work perfectly just with one prompt. And that's okay. It still saves you a whole lot of time. And now if I click on this button, I don't know if it added the alert to this button or if it added the alert to this button. We may need to preview it before I see the alert. Let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on this. And I'm not seeing the alert there. So let's go back into here. This code is being embedded inside of another website. And when I click on the alert, it does not show me the text or alert. So let's go ahead and just describe the problem that we're having. That's a typical thing with vibe coding is you have to describe, okay, it's acting this way, but I actually want it to act this way. And so you go back and forth a lot of times with that. So it will specify, okay, here's what you may want to say. Instead of that button, the say hello button, we may just want to add an alert here. Or you can actually come in here and add this alert or specify that alert here. It did not give me the entire code. Make that fix and give me the entire HTML. That way, I don't have to, especially if you don't know any code, you don't have to go in and just figure out where that code is and copy and paste it. You can just tell it to generate the entire HTML file. All right, so there's my HTML file. Let's go ahead and hit copy. Let's come over here and go back into my code inside of Rise. So I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to go back into this right here. Let's click on edit, select everything, delete, and then paste that again. Now, if I click on say hello, it is still not working. So sometimes if you right click and go to inspect element, there may be an error. Use of window alert is not allowed in sandbox framed. So when allow modals is not set. Okay, so that may be, the alert is like a little message that pops up. So that may be something that Rise doesn't allow you to do. And so you can export it out and then you can try it there. I don't typically use alerts, and so I'd probably want to show a modal instead. So let's go ahead and change that. The alert is not working. Let's show a modal that says hello when the button is clicked instead of an alert. So it is still typical to do some troubleshooting. You may have to right click on things. You may have to see if there's some type of message, and you could just copy that message, the error message. You can paste it into ChatGPT and say, I'm getting this error message. What does this mean? And that will help you kind of troubleshoot things as well. I go through all of these troubleshooting things and generating code especially JavaScript in my JavaScript and storyline course if you want to dive into that more. All right, so this is now been generated. It now has our modal. So a modal is like a little pop-up. If you've ever seen like a message pop up or something like that, that's what a modal is. So let's go back into here, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete that and paste this again. Now let's click on say hello, and boom, there is our modal. So definitely a modal is a better way to go than the alerts. And so that is something to keep in mind. I did not know that until I actually tested it out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close here, and it will close out the modal. And you can see that it's actually using the same modal for the same button. So that's where I would want to go in and say, oh, well, let's use this message for this button and this message for that button and describe it a little bit more. Now let's get into some fun stuff. That's good for the basics. And actually, I wanted to test one more thing. Let's see how this responds on smaller devices. And just like I thought, it will adapt because Bootstrap automatically adapts. So without me having to do anything, this is now better than the custom block in my opinion, because it allows me to add controls, it allows me to add various components, it allows me to add modals. It basically, the world is your oyster. You can go in and you could add whatever you want just by using vibe coding. Okay. So I'm going to take an approach here, and I'm actually going to create a game that's inspired by one of my former students and friend, Tom Jagger, who he created this kind of Pong game, and I wanted to generate that. So you can check out his channel here. I'll link to his channel. But I wanted to create that as an example of a more complex game inside of Rise. I've never actually created it. I watched this video. I've never actually created it. But what I wanted to do is create a game like that and then go ahead and just play and have some questions pop up at various times. So let's go ahead into ChatGPT and let's start a completely new chat here. I need a single HTML page that has a Pong game that a user can control with keys on the keyboard. And after a point is scored, a question is shown to the learner. Now, I would want to go ahead and specify where these questions will go because I want to add more questions later. So that typically, when you're wanting to store some type of data that you want to copy and paste and you want to add to or remove from, it is better to store that inside of what's called JSON or JSON. I've heard it both ways, but it's essentially a data format. And that's if you've at all explored XAPI, that's exactly what XAPI is. And you can have the questions formatted there that will make it a whole lot easier to update. So that's why I want to specify here. Cycle through these questions and have the questions in a JSON formatted section that I can add or remove from. So let's go ahead and just with a simple prompt like that, let's see what happens and see if it allows us to create this very custom game. And we can then iterate on that if we wanted to, like Tom suggests here, if we wanted to have things happen at certain points, we can iterate on that and we can build out this more complex game. I want to try this Pong game first. I then want to try a Tetris game and see if it'll let us do a Tetris game. And then I want to go in and show you how to upload an entire package. You can see that it's a lot more complex here. It does have a lot more data. So we have our styles and we have a lot more styles here. And then down here, anything that's a green format, that basically is a comment, meaning that that code is not going to be run. But you can see here, these are our different questions. So we have a question. Here's the question, here's the possible choices, and here is the correct answer. Now, the correct index, whenever it's working with like a set of numbers, it always starts out at 0. So the correct answer in this case is 2, which means it's not this first one because this first one is 0. It's not the second one because the second one is 1. It is actually going to be the third one, which is bounces. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to tell ChatGPT to move that variable up or these questions up to the top of the screen, you can, but you just need to find where these questions are so you can update them later. Or you could even just go back into ChatGPT and say, change question 1 to this, change question 2 to this. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this and go back into the contents, and I'm going to paste in this Pong game. So notice here, it's going to give me some instructions. So right here, controls are W and S. So I can move up with W and I can move down with S. Now I missed that, so you can see that it's now popped up with my question. What keys move your paddle? Oh, WS, and then I can go ahead and hit submit. It shows correct. Great, now I can hit continue. Now anything about that is where I can then go in and change and say, well, I want the questions to be blue. I want the questions to be red, something like that. You have full control over that just by going back in and prompting that. But now we can create custom games inside of Rise. This is mind-blowing. Now it does add it into this block. So you may be asking yourself, can I control the block? Can I control the height of the block? Yes, you can do all of that. If you come into this format tab, you can see right here that the height is set to auto resize. So it'll automatically size to whatever is needed here. But if I uncheck that, this is where I can then actually add custom size, and I can expand this out to however much height that I actually need. Now it will automatically take up the width and the available width, but I can also come back into here and under top or under width right here, I can actually say, no, I just want this to be medium. I don't want it to take up the full width. I want it to be small. So you can adjust both the width and height. I typically find that it works great with auto because it just auto detects how much content's in there, and then it will just auto resize from there. You can also adjust the padding. So if you want more padding on top and bottom, you can do that just like within any other block. So many possibilities. I want to create another game here. So let's go back into ChatGPT and let's create another chat. I want to create an HTML page that is a Tetris game. After each row that goes away, it shows the learner a question. Formats the questions into JSON so I can add and remove. Okay, so just with that simple prompt, let's go ahead and every time I get a row that goes away, it will ask a question. Now, Tetris has always been one of my favorite games. I'm not really a huge gamer, but Tetris is one that I can always go back to and have a fun time playing here. So it is going to think through this a little bit. Tetris is a little bit more of a complex game, so it may take a little bit longer to actually generate this. So you can see it is generating a lot of CSS here. So it is generating a ton. Now, this is my questions right here, so I can add to those questions. And so you can see there's some other things like colors that it's adding and shapes as well that it's adding. So it's adding a lot of content here. I am curious how well this will actually perform, but let's go ahead and copy this and let's paste it into here. And boom, you can see automatically, how do I move up and down? So you use the controls, so click into here, so up and down is going to cause a problem. You can see because Rise uses up and down to control up and down of the page. So I may want to actually tell ChatGPT to adjust the controls. The page I am embedding this in does not allow for arrow up and down. So instead of using arrows, use other keys. I'll let it decide which keys, other keys to control these shapes. So it won't, and up and down is rotate and drop. That is something to keep in mind. So it's going to give me ADWS. So ADWS. So that is typical with like gaming. That I do know. So let's update the HTML code with this change so I can copy it in. And it's still good to like read the descriptions and in between text, because that will tell you exactly what it's doing and what changes have been made. So I'm looking at the body code here. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. And really what I was looking for is the end HTML tag, and I didn't see that before. So now let's go ahead and replace that. And there we go. So now let's try. So controls A and D and W and S. So I'm going to click into here. So A and D will go back and forth, W and S. S will like make it go faster basically. So I'm going to move this over, hold down S, it will take it down. And then to rotate, let's go ahead and see to rotate is W. Oh, okay, so W is rotate. I'm still trying to learn the game. So let's bring this over and I want to get at least one row so we can see the question. So there's that. Let's move this one over. And then spacebar is to hard drop, bring it all the way down. So let's go ahead and hard drop that. And you can see that it popped up with the question even before the row went away. So I may want to go in and say, wait for the row to go away before you actually see the question. So you can see how many columns inside of Tetris, how many columns wide is the playfield, and then you can answer that. Okay, so every time I answer a question, but this is just mind-blowing. We can now have games and custom games inside of Rise, and custom learning games specifically. There are so many possibilities. I want to see what you guys come up with. I want to see exactly what types of custom games you create that you can then put inside of Rise to really take this and make this a whole lot better. Now, I still do want to check out Mighty, which is a plugin that I've seen a lot of people customize Rise with. So I haven't actually played around with that yet, but this gets me excited to just have a custom block right inside of here. There is one more thing I want to quickly show you just so you can see the multiple files that you can upload here. And one of my favorite tools for like multiple files, if you're going to create an entire web page or something like that, is cursor.com. I do have a video here covering how to use Cursor, so I won't go into it in depth, but Cursor is probably one of the most flexible authoring tools that you can use. I am going to go ahead and build something. I've created a folder here, and now over on the right hand side, I can go ahead and prompt and tell it to build. Let's do something different. Build a Jeopardy-style game that has create index.html file, main.css file that will store all the CSS, and a main.js file that will store all the JavaScript. Have the questions inside of a JSON object that I can update. Now, what I did before is I created this folder and then I just dragged it into Cursor. That way, the folder structure is over on the left-hand side. You could create files inside of here, like coming over to the left-hand side. You can create folders if you wanted to, but you can also just have Cursor create those files for you. So let's go ahead and prompt that game, and then it will create all of the extra files in the custom HTML, the custom CSS, and it has more files. So Cursor, you can also create like native mobile applications. You can create full-on portfolio websites that you can then host on like AWS and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things that you can do with Cursor. With ChatGPT, it doesn't give you all those separate files or anything like that. With Lovable, it does. It creates several different files. So you can actually create, if you want to check out Lovable video here, you can create an entire web page or entire interaction in Lovable, download all those files, and then put those inside of Rise as well. So you can see, depending on what you prompt it, it may take a little while, but over on the left-hand side, it is creating those files for me. So it's created the index.html, it created the main.css, and now it is creating all of my logic inside of the main.js file. I could use React, I could use pretty much anything that I wanted to. I can tie it into a database, I can have it use an API. There's so many different possibilities here. So it looks like it has done everything. You can read through what it's completed, and then you can go ahead and click on Keep All down at the bottom. Now let's open up our index.html file. And you can see in our index.html file, it has all of these games and other things like that components. So let's go ahead and open this up. So if you double click on the folder and just double click on index.html, boom, that looks good. Immediately, I'd probably want to add a little bit more style to it or adjust that. But you can see that it hovers over it automatically. It kind of increases the size as I hover over it. And I can click on that, and it says, who wrote Romeo and Juliet? And so this one, you actually have to type in your questions. And I don't know if that's the case for all of them, but you probably want to say, instead of typing in your questions, have some multiple choice questions or something like that. That's just cool. So to be able to create that type of thing. So I'm going to take that, and for the sake of time, I'm actually just going to zip that up. So let's go ahead and zip this up here. So on a Mac, I can just right click and go to compress, or on a PC, you can just do send to compress zip or send to zip. And then I'm going to go back into Rise here. So let's add another block here. Let's add another one right here, go into custom block. And the key thing is you have to have this first file, the HTML file, be index.html file. You can have videos inside of here. You can have other media file, but the first file, the main file that gets loaded, has to be index.html. So let's go ahead and go into here, and it does tell you that once you upload it, like upload project, it does tell you upload a zip that contains an index.html. So let's go ahead and click on upload, click on that zipped file right here, and click on upload here. Now, depending on the size and the amount of media that you have inside of your HTML file, it will take a little bit, and it looks like something went wrong. So let's click on refresh page. And this is in beta, so I'm wondering if I need to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm not going to have any spaces here. And what I'm going to do is actually zip all of these files. So let's try this method here. So I selected all the files and zipped all of those files. Now let's try to upload this again. Okay, so that is better. That is good to know. Don't zip the folder. And that's typically what you have to do with SCORM. So that's kind of why I figured that out. But don't zip the folder. You can have folders in here, but select all the files and zip that. Then when you upload it, then everything will work inside of there. Just a good little test to be able to do that. So many different possibilities. You can have interactive video. You can have different types of games. You can have different types of layouts, and those custom layouts could show modals and different things. This opens up a whole world of possibilities, and it has me extremely excited about it. I know this video is a little bit longer than normal, but I really wanted to dive into the features and just share with you this capability and how excited I am about that. This is just the beginning. There is more to come. I know that Articulate has more up their sleeve and different types of AI capabilities, especially AI generate vibe coding capabilities that you can check out as well. If you like this video, make sure that you go over to the YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That really helps my channel, allows my channel to continue to grow to reach more learning developers like yourself. Also, if you wanted to check out my website, you can head on over to learningdojo.ninja. Here you can check out all of the apps that I've created. I've created a bunch of apps that you can basically use. You can also check out full courses covering everything from A to Z in Storyline, JavaScript for Storyline, XAPI fundamentals, Articulate Rise, custom SCORM as well. You can also check out all of my previous blog posts. I create a weekly blog post and do that here. You can check out all the previous ones there and then download free templates. I am curious though, I have been contemplating creating a whole vibe coding for learning course. If you're interested in that, I am working on currently an AI inside a Storyline course, but it's more of like how to use the AI assistant. But what I want to do is maybe now that we can do this type of AI components or vibe coding inside of Rise, would you want an entire course on how to create full applications and content that can go inside of Rise or just live on their own as well? If you're interested in that, make sure you leave a comment on the blog or you head on over to the YouTube channel and leave a comment there. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time.